Welcome to the September 2025 podcast for the LLR LMC. As usual in this podcast, this is just a summary of what's within our September newsletter, and I'll advise you to look at that for all the details. Another month, another dispute. So I'll just kick off with what's happening about the new contract. As hopefully you're aware, there are various quite substantial changes that need to be implemented as per the contract from the 1st of October. A big one is increasing access to patients throughout the whole of the core hours. When the GPC England had agreed this with government, they say it was with the caveat that between then and it going live on 1st of October, that safeguards would be agreed and put into place to protect patients and practices. If opening up that massive additional highway of work just sort of inundates practices and makes them unsafe. Unfortunately, the safeguarding was never agreed to put in place. And when Wes Streeting was asked at a BMA meeting that I attended just a week and a half ago now, no, just a week ago, Wes was actually quite offish, shall we say. He accused GPs who didn't like it as being laggards and needing to get into the 21st century, which of course, is not really the right response, and doesn't take into account that the issue is about patient safety, but this is also about safety for practices. The practices can actually cope with the changes and can continue to provide services. This has a massive opportunity of completely messing up many practices. So you won't be surprised to know that on the 18th of September, the GPC England met, and from that meeting they voted and agreed that the profession would be back into dispute with the government, with NHS England, with the department, with effect from the 1st of October 25, so with effect from the date that those things should happen. Quite what that means, I have no idea at the moment, but I hope there'll be more details. Within the newsletter, there are links to for details about that. There's a podcast by Katie Bramall. There's a link to the BMA press release, and also the BMA have put together on the website a page specifically about this, from which they will be updating with information and additional guidance as time goes by. There is still time for Wes Streeting to come back and to work with GPC to sort this out before the 1st of October, and I really hope that he does. We don't want it to be in dispute. I'm sure he doesn't want it to be in dispute with us, but we cannot allow change to go through which would adversely affect the patient safety and also the ability of practice to be able to function. We just cannot do that. Just finally, we've got a meeting on the 23rd of September, a webinar from midday to 2 o'clock to discuss we was going to discuss the changes to the contract, but I think now we're probably going to think more about where we're going to about the dispute, about why it's not a good idea what is being proposed to put into place. Just going through the rest of the agenda, there's another section on the NHS 10-year plan that will continue to develop. We know that Leicestershire West was one of the 43 areas in the country to get go-ahead for an Good Health service. Hopefully, if you work in that area, you have seen the proposal and you know what to expect. Just to remind practices that there is a 40-hour check of We See Children contract which needs to be signed so you can continue to claim that for this year. In the last month, we raised an issue that has been with Joy CMS, and I'm just put another update, and just to say that at the moment that the ICB has stopped all writebacks from that program for the time being. There's been another issue about practice email distribution lists, and really just to say that other organisations have been misusing these, and so the ICB has agreed to have them removed from the global list of email addresses so that other bodies can't find them, but also to remind practices that if you're not using them, delete them. If you are using them, please make sure that you have a way of keeping them up to date. Shared care agreements, these are still causing problems. We are still discussing issues with the ICB and particularly the medicines team about these. But just a reminder that you can decline on either clinical or capacity grounds any request to take over specialist prescribing. And that was recently, that right was reiterated in a written reply by Stephen Kinnock, who's the current Minister of Health and Social Care. Mount Jaro, tirzepatide, that's still ongoing. We're still waiting for the actual spec for the service to be proposed locally, so I can't see this going ahead until at least the end of the year. So again, please inform your patients and staff of that. And just as an aside on that, we've had another incident where a hospital consultant has been trying to strong arm a practice and to prescribe it out with the current license and out with the current formula. And if this happens to your practice, then please let the LMC know, but also please ensure that whoever sort of reconciles information coming to practice, as for most practice, I presume that's now probably a clinical pharmacist, please ensure that they are aware, just to be doubly clear, if they get a request for tirzepatide, that they ensure that it meets the local formulary requirements. And again, something else which is ongoing, letters on System 1, we're still seeing issues, mainly, so recently it's only been reported from the West Community Mental Health team, but what's surprising is also it's not sneaking through elsewhere, where clinicians are writing letters to practices. They're saving them onto System 1, but they're not actually sending them to us, so the practice is unaware that letter is there. Again, this is a significant patient safety issue, so please be vigilant of that, and if you come across that, let the LMC know. We've been contacted by UHL that they're between, in the years 2023-2024, 10% of discharge letters did not get sent to practice. Now, these would have also included details about changing medications. Now, because of the date, the LMC with the UHL believed that the best thing is that these letters are not sent, because they will be very confusing, because obviously since that time, patients will have been seen again, the medication will be changed again, I suspect. So it's not just a case of reconciling what was done in that year to what is done now, but you'll then also have to look at every single clinical entry since that time, both on our system, but any further letters from the hospital to see if there have been any subsequent changes. And our feeling is that the workload for doing that was disproportionate to anything that could be found. UHL have audited 1% of those unsent letters and found not a single concerning situation where a patient was put to harm. So we can be fairly certain that the risk of patient harm is extortionately low. But if they were sent, the workload for practice would be significant. And of course, although I've mentioned to ICB, so far they've been stum about the request that if the letters were to be sent to practice, we will be looking at the ICB to fund practice to be able to process all those additional letters. And then there's a couple of sort of final things. UHL Awards Evening, there's been 3 doctors shortlisted. please read the nominations. They are very inspiring. Unfortunately, I actually can't be awardee this year, as I had already pledged to my wife that I'll take her away, and if I cancelled that, that would be one thing that wouldn't make my life worth living for the next 12 months. So Dr. Trine Dange is standing in for me, and she'll be presenting the award on the evening. I have voted, although I do not know hand on heart who the winner is at this stage. So wish them all luck. Do read the nominations and think about who you believe should be nominated for award. And just as so get a date in the diary. In March, we are going to hold our AGM, and we're also going to do our own award ceremony, and the awards will be presented by someone very prestigious from the medical fraternity. It's not me, and it's not someone from LLR, but you will know who it is when we tell you the name. So I'll finish that podcast for this month, and as usual, just to say, please keep safe your patients and keep your staff safe and look after yourselves, and catch up again next month.